Hi everyone, Alan from Newlands Nursery and welcome to today's 5-Minute Friday. And what we're doing is sowing tomatoes. It's a great time of year to get ahead, sow some tomatoes when it's horrible and rainy and cold outside, and look forward to the crop coming this summer. So I've got my tomato seeds here. I've got Moneymaker, which is an absolute classic variety, and I find it nice and simple just to pour the seed onto a plate. And then you can see it much easier because tomato seeds are quite small. So I've filled this cell tray. You can use a cell tray or pots. I much prefer cells because they're easier to then pot up. But you don't want to go for anything too small. Something around this sort of size is ideal. So this is 3 centimetres roughly square, which works really well. And what I want to do, and you can use a tip, if you've got a tiny bit of moisture on your hand just naturally, you can lift the seed up like that and just drop it on, okay, and then encourage them to go towards the centre, just like that. If you're short of space, you could always put more than one plant per cell, but if not, one plant per cell is going to be much easier to pot up. And then once you've got that, because they're such a small seed, you can push them down very slightly, or you can just get some loose compost and just cover them up very gently. Okay, if you've got perlite or vermiculite, that will work equally as well. And you don't have to be that neat about it. Any big lumps you want to make sure you get rid of, but you don't have to be that neat, because as soon as you start watering, they're gonna wash around anyway. So it's as simple as that. So now you've sown all your seeds, the good thing to do is give it a nice water. A tip for that is cell trays have always got holes in the base, so give them a light watering over the top, wait for that to sink in, and then repeat that until you start getting some water come out the base, and that means that you've got moisture to soak all the way through the compost, which is what you want to begin with. So tomatoes need a reasonable amount of warmth, so put it in a warm place. If you've got a germinator, that would be absolutely perfect. So get them germinating. They can germinate quite quickly. So the earlier you do it, just make sure if you're sowing really early, you've got somewhere to look after these plants that are going to get bigger. So if you haven't got a lot of space, maybe sow it later in the year, but sowing this early gives you a hell of a head start, and we all want earlier tomatoes because you get a longer fruiting season, so it's well worth doing if you've got the space. Any questions at all, get in contact. See you soon.